Hey everyone, welcome to Data Millennials. I'm Atul, and in this video we are going to discuss about the continue statement with the while loop. So generally we have seen that the loops are executed until the condition is true. This condition is checked only at the top of the loop, and hence the loop is not exited if the condition becomes false in the middle of the execution. But generally this situation does not happen because the loop is created to execute all the statements within the body. But in rare scenarios, if it happens, we need to exit the loop by changing the execution from its normal sequence. The continue statement in Python gives programmer a better flexibility for implementing the control logic in loops in these situations. In Python, when abnormal loop termination occur, all the objects that were created in that scope were destroyed. I should also mention here that ideally every loop should have a normal flow and have a single entry and exit point. It's always discouraged to use abnormal loop termination because it introduces an exception into the normal control flow of the loop. However, in some unavoidable situation, continue statement can only be the alternative. Being said so, let's talk about the continue statement with the while loop. During a program execution, a break statement is found within the loop. The remaining statements within the body of the loop are not executed and the loop is exited. But when a continue statement is found within a while loop, the remaining statement within the body of the loop are skipped. However, the loop is executed again and the condition in the loop is checked again to see if the loop should continue or to be exited. If the loop condition is still true, the loop is not exited, but the loop execution continues at the top of the loop. We should also note that similar to break in a nested loop, the continue statement in while loop affects only the loop in which the continue statement is found. With the continue statement, we can stop the current iteration of the while loop and continue with the next statement that is present in code. The continue statement returns the control to the beginning of the while loop. It rejects all the remaining statement in the current iteration of the while loop and moves the control back to the top of the while loop. So the Python continue statement is a loop control statement that forces to execute the next iteration of the loop by skipping the rest of the code inside the loop for the current iteration only, which means that when the continue statement is executed in the while loop, the code inside the while loop following the continue statement will be skipped for the current iteration and the next iteration of the loop will begin. Now, suppose if I have a number and I'm printing that number from 1 to 10, and if I want to skip when the counter is 5, then we can use the continue statement. So let's start with the very basic thing saying that we want to print number from 1 till 10 using the while loop. Okay, so I'll have a loop counter. In this loop counter, sorry, with this loop counter we are going to initialize this loop counter variable with 0, and with this loop counter we are going to implement the while loop. So I'm going to put while loop counter is less than equal to 10, then print loop counter. So this is your normal loop. Oh, I missed to add the increment with the loop counter and it goes to the infinite iteration. So let me do that. So let me print loop counter, and after that I have to increment the loop counter. So loop counter equal to loop counter plus 1. So over here we can see that we are printing from 0 to 10. Okay, but what if my loop counter is 5 and I want to skip that 5 loop counter? I do not want to print that. In that case, you have to use the continue statement. And for using that continue statement, we have to use the if statement or if clause. So what we are going to do is that we are going to say if loop counter is equal to 5, then continue. Now if I run it, you will see that we have 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. After that, when the continue has been encountered by the program, you can see that post 5 we are not getting anything. We were supposed to skip 5 and then we have to print 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, right? But this is not happening over here. The reason behind that is that we have given the incremental of this loop over here. So instead of here, we have to put it over here. Okay. So if I run this now, you can see that we have 1, 2, 3, 4, but we do not have 5. We have skipped 5 and then rest all of the sequence has been printed over here. So this is how basically you can use the continue statement with the while loop to force the program to execute the next iteration of the loop by skipping the rest of the code inside the loop for the current iteration only. Happy learning and see you in the next video.